Hello and welcome back to Not a Watch Snob. I am your host Bill, and I'm not a watch snob. Today we're going to be looking at a watch that honestly surprised me. I didn't expect it to be so nice, and it actually bats way above its average. So does that intrigue you? I hope we have that coming up very soon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment in the section. I really appreciate that. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Let's get down to this review. When I first received this watch, I thought it was nothing more than a fashion brand. That fake Italian name was just a rouge to promote high lifestyle and luxury. However, my opinion was about to change. Meccaniche Veneziane is an actual Italian brand established in 2017, at the height of the fashion watch movement. The idea was to make mechanical watches inspired by the traditions of Venice. And I think they succeeded. Meccaniche Veneziane. First, I thought I'd start off with the pros and cons of purchasing this watch. The first one that we're going to look at is both a pro and a con, and that's its name. It both entices and deters people from buying it. On one hand, it sounds like this really rich, Italian, historic name, but on the other hand, it's almost impossible to pronounce. So I think one of the areas that they're going to have trouble with as a brand is word of mouth, because, well, people can't pronounce it. The thing that I really dislike is the fact that for an Italian brand, they literally made up Italian words for their name. It doesn't translate to anything, however, if I were to translate it, they're basically saying the Venetian mechanic, which to me just sounds like an amazing Martin Scorsese movie.
Al Pacino in The Venetian Mechanic.
One of the pros that I'd like to mention is the dial. At first, when I saw this dial, I thought it was just an homage to the Royal Oak, but truthfully, I think it kind of became its own thing. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong, just tell me I'm flat out wrong. But when it catches the light, it's got this beautiful way of becoming from black to blue, and I just think that really stands out. It makes you kind of want to gaze at it more. Just the attention to detail they did on this dial is just fantastic. The way the light catches the markers, the hands, and the fact that they have that see-through element to them, I really like that. The markers are just this beautiful ghost white, and they really paid attention to details. If you look at the bezel, you can even notice that the markers on the bezel have the 45, the 30, the 15, and I just think that they could have just left those blank. I mean, they're so microscopic that they're hardly noticeable. But the fact is that when you do notice it, you know that they actually went that extra mile to add a little flair to their watch. I really like the satin polished stainless steel bezel. It's really beautiful. It's very monochromatic though. The whole thing is just this gray piece, and I thought at first, I was like, oh, it's just going to be very dull and boring, but it works very well. Just the satin finish all over this watch just works extremely well. And there's something about that bezel that just it's really interesting to look at. Another pro that I really liked about the watch is the logo. I think that it's got this Knights Templar, like, powerful aesthetic to it that really makes it look like it's both historic, high class. It really just looks like a powerful symbol. I think that where they did mess up is they didn't implement the logo enough. For example, on the buckle, I think they could have had a really big cross that I think would have just added this masculinity to the watch that I think it's kind of missing when it comes to the band. I love how they stuck to the Renaissance theme of it. It's got this beautiful Venetian Italian Renaissance theme, and they really hit the mark in every way possible, I think, when it comes to sticking to their theme and sticking to the idea that they wanted to make this Italian, basically an homage to the Renaissance, and I think they really hit the mark on that. Now we're going to move on to the cons. My first con is the presentation box. Now, I'm a huge stickler when it comes to presentation of watches. I think that the box should represent your brand because it's the first thing that they're gonna see when they open this package. And I think if the box isn't to the same standards as the watch, then you're gonna disappoint a lot of people. Well, at least that's my truth. I don't know how you guys feel about the box. Some people just toss them to the side and throw them away, but I think cherishing the box can be just as fun as cherishing the watch. Another con that I saw was the fact that it has no date. I think at most a watch should definitely have the date. I love to look down and know what date it is, and it's just missing that. I think that they could have easily put it underneath the Arsenal Automatico. They could have easily put it at the 6 o'clock. I think that that would have added so much more to the details. You could even add it in that fancy sort of Venetian lettering that I think would have added a lot to it, but no big deal. It's just one of my pet peeves. Whoop. I think my balls dropped on that last sentence. This is what it's going to look like on your wrist, and I think that it fits like a glove. I mean, this band has to be one of the most comfortable bands I've ever had the pleasure of wearing. At first, when I saw the band, I thought, oh, it looks tacky to me. It looked very tacky, but now, I'm starting to see the value in it. It's extremely, extremely lush, and it feels very, very warm and comfortable on my wrist. I don't think that the watch itself sticks out too much. I don't think it's, overbearing on the wrist. I think that it's a perfect height and definitely a perfect width on my 7.5 wrist. I mean, the lug-to-lug looks amazing, I think. There's really no qualms about wearing it. I think if I had to really nitpick, when you put the watch on, the mosaic in the back kind of gives a little roughness to it, but I really don't think that's a deal breaker for me. I think that it's, like I said, one of the most comfortable bands I've ever had the pleasure of wearing, so I'm going to start looking out for more of these bands. I actually really like them. Now we're going to move on to the specs of the watch. Let's start with price. If you wanted to buy this off the website, it's around $651. However, I would definitely recommend going on Facebook and looking for them used, because you can get them for around $350 to $400. And yeah, I mean, I got this one used and I have no complaints. It's like right out of the box. I mean, obviously the band is broken in, which I think is a good thing. I think it makes it form to the wrist all that much better. It's a 45mm watch with the stainless steel of 316L, which, like I said in the last video, is a check mark for me. It has a really nice automatic movement. It has an MV145, that's what they call it, but it's really just an NH35 base, which is a Seiko. And they modified it, and it has 24 jewels, a 41-hour power reserve, bi-directional winding, which I think is really, really neat, as well as hacking. I hate that the website advertised it as a diving watch, where I personally would not call this a diving watch. Yes, it can go 677 feet, but I personally would not call this a diving watch. I would call this more of a everyday slash sort of dress watch. I think it's just an everyday watch. I truthfully would not consider this a diver. The lume, though, is where we see, sticking with the Italian theme, where we see this watch's Stugats. It has B6W9 Swiss Superluminova on all the markers as well as the hands, and it really, really stands out. I think that I didn't even charge up the watch last night and I could see it crystal clear, and I think that that gives it a lot more credit in my book. It has a lot more, like I said, attention to details. This watch has the attention to detail, and that's what I love about it. That's why my mind was blown. I thought it's just another fashion brand, but my mind was actually blown by the fact that they actually cared when producing this watch, which kudos to Meccaniche Veneziane, because it's a solid piece. It's definitely a solid watch. Now we're going to ask ourselves, is it worth it? Go ahead, write in the comments what you think. Do you think it is worth it for the $651 price tag? Personally, I think it's worth it if you get it used. I think it's definitely something that you're going to get a lot of enjoyment out of, and you're going to get a lot of pleasure from wearing this timepiece. You may not be able to pronounce it, but you sure as hell will enjoy having it on your wrist. So I think it's worth it. I think it definitely is a great watch. Now, I know they have other tier watches that are Swiss made. I was looking at their movements, and they actually produce some very, very beautiful movements. I'd love to see an open case back from them. From what I can judge, I personally like the watch. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying I'm necessarily right. I'm just saying that I think it's a solid watch and a solid buy. So what do you guys think of Meccaniche Veneziane? Let me know what you thought in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you guys. Overall, I thought it was a really nice watch, and I think that this is a brand, a micro brand, that should be taken serious. They have a lot of great designs, and they are a really fantastic watch. So if you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, all that great stuff. I really appreciate it, so I can keep on making great content for you. My name is Bill, and I'm your host, and this is Not a Watch Knob. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it.